What is a bankruptcy discharge? What debts aren't covered under bankruptcy through this discharge? Hi, I'm attorney Leroy Roberson back again to talk about these topics for you. And a bankruptcy discharge, and you get discharges whether you're in a Chapter 7, Chapter 13, any chapter that you're in. But a discharge, it's a court order that pretty much just says that you don't have to pay debts that you owe. Whether, they could be credit card bills. There's certain qualifying debts that if you receive a discharge, you're no longer on the hook for having to pay for those debts. The discharge only covers debts that were in place before you filed bankruptcy. So for example, if you filed bankruptcy and all of a sudden you start incurring all these debts and want to have that a part of a bankruptcy, those aren't going to be included. It's only for debts that you incur prior to filing bankruptcy. So keep that in mind when you're considering this. There are certain debts that are not covered under this bankruptcy process. And I'm going to read that list to you just because, I don't want to miss anything. So I'm just going to read it to you. So forgive me for that. So the debts that aren't included are tax returns, child support, alimony, court fines and criminal restitution, personal injury that's caused by drunk driving or under the influence of alcohol, and student loans. Now, most people know about the student loans, but maybe didn't know about the rest of those. And even though those aren't gonna give you a discharge if you file a bankruptcy, it doesn't mean that if you have those type of debts that it makes no sense to file bankruptcy. And here's why. Under the Chapter 13 bankruptcy process, even if you have the debts that I just listed, there's still relief that you can get under the bankruptcy process with those. For example, under the Chapter 13 process, and I spoke about, some of the specifics about this repayment plan that I'm going to speak on right now in other videos. So if you want kind of a little bit more in-depth understanding of that, check out some of my other videos. But under the Chapter 13 process, if you file for a Chapter 13, you can put all of those debts that I mentioned, student loan payments, tax payments, things that you're behind on. And a lot of times when people are filing bankruptcy or considering filing bankruptcy, it's because they're behind on some of those debts. Well, you can put those into a repayment plan. So if your wages are being garnished or things of that nature because you have some of these arrears, child support, things I just mentioned, you can still enter into a Chapter 13 plan and they will stop those collection efforts and stop those garnishments. And the Chapter 13 process will allow you to catch up on those payments. So even though they're not dischargeable, the bankruptcy process is still useful if you have those type of debts. And in addition, if you have credit card bills and other type of unsecured debts, those will be discharged in that type of a bankruptcy. So hope it helped you guys get a little bit of understanding on these topics. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to get in touch with me, call, email, drop me a comment, and we can talk a little bit more if you have any more questions. If not, I will talk to you guys on the next video. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.